Welcome to Tya Talk.
Good morning.
I am here with Tya Master
Ooh.
Carrie King. Are we going to change that? We're changing everything.
I don't know.
We're
Yeah, I
changing
kind
all
of
the
feel.
Tya stuff.
Hmm.
We have 2022 has been sort of a reboot for the Tya practice. I think we spent 4 years creating it, co-creating it with everybody that went through boot camp, and I'm at a place now in 2022 where I feel like now it's really ready for prime time. It's really ready to share it with the world. And so we have retired Tya Boot Camp for all of you that have been following all of these years. And you know about all of our graduates and all of the success we have with the Tya practice and all of that. We're retiring Tya Boot Camp and we are relaunching the Tya Experience because for 4 years it was a boot camp. It was work. You had to get in and do work, and it was arduous. It was rewarding work, but you had to get in and do work. The good news is that the modules that are so transformative have not changed, but the vibration of the whole thing has changed. The vibration now is come in, you buy your module package, you come in, you do your module work, and you can weave in and out of it because everything is vibrational. We're vibrational beings, so you're tied into a vibe for a period of time. You can choose to continue to be tied into that vibe, or maybe that vibe isn't working anymore and you go experience something else, and maybe you come back. And we wanted to make an experience that was fluid the way vibration is fluid. And so now all of our offerings, all of our academy is like that. It's something that's fluid that you can come in and experience and be part of. You can grow through the different levels of it. You can certainly experience it for free, and you can experience it for different levels of education that would cost you money to do if you so choose. But my intention is to share this practice with the world, however they consume it, because I see how very valuable it is now. And we're just offering different things for people who want to explore more or do more. And that's what we've done in our Patreon channel is we offer these different levels of interaction that you get to choose what you do.
I love that. I love Taya Academy. That always set well with me, being somebody that grew up. My parents were so determined. You go to university, get a degree, get a great job, et cetera, et cetera. So I followed that path, and which was great for me because my love of learning. I still have that. My curiosity and I'm always wanting to learn something new and try it out and practice it. So when you talk about Taya Academy, that just speaks to my soul. It's a place of learning, experiencing, but not of here's the book, this is how you have to do it. To me, the beauty of
There's
the
no have to in
entire,
the
there's
Taya
no
practice.
have to. And the beauty of it is it's so unique to the individual. You're still learning and growing and expanding by using the Taya tools and practice, but it's unique to you, which I love you renaming as a Taya experience because it is an experience, and it's amazing to me, and made me. This morning, I was reminded of when I was in 3D Matrix World, and I was working in a clinic as a therapist, and one of the other therapists and I decided to become traveling therapists, and so we started looking into that. And I remember us both. You have that fear, that anxiety. Oh, changing jobs. It's kind of scary. And so the more we were looking into it, we're like, oh, this can't be real, because they were paying such a high level salary at that time, and your expenses, and you could go anywhere. You could choose wherever you wanted to go in the United States. And we kept saying, this can't be real. This is too good to be true, right?
Mhm.
But both of us put our fear aside and jumped in, and ended up both of us going on these magnificent travel assignments. And I really expanded and grew as a person for that, and also my toolkit for my therapy. Then fast forward to boot camp, which is now the Thai experience, was exactly that for me. I've expanded, I've grown as a person because I have this whole new toolkit to use that I continually use. And the best part to me of it is, as we've said often, David, there's never a ceiling, there's never a limit. Actually, I'm discovering there are no limits, no rules, no limits. It's uniquely my own. I get to create, I get to experience. And so back to your original question about Tya Master, I don't feel like I'll ever master it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of
So,
the funny thing about
yeah.
that is the Tya practice is not a practice that you come in and you start practicing and you cross some threshold of perfection. The practice in and of itself is all about going on an inward journey back to your source, which is inside, not outside, and operating your life as the source being that you are, as opposed to the ego-driven matrix being that the world creates. Now, your ego is not a bad thing. You're not going to cross the threshold of perfection. You're not going to completely extinguish your ego, nor would you want to, because your ego gives you this human journey. The unique thing about the Tya practice is that we recognize that the true creator of the universe is vibrational flow, is this up and down fluctuation of vibration that we all operate in. And as physically manifested beings, we're responding to vibrational flow. And our response to our vibrational flow shifts our point of attraction. And this is something that the stream has delivered and been flowing through me for 54 years, really, but especially publicly the last 4 years, that yes, law of attraction is a thing. You are consciously creating your reality. You absolutely are. You're creating all of it. All of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the unwanted, the things that you love, all of it. And a lot of people don't want to claim that.
Right.
Plenty of
You mean
stuff
I
in our
gotta
lives.
own
I
that?
wouldn't have created that. There's no way, especially childhood stuff.
No.
I totally understand
Oh
that.
yeah.
But as you go deeper into the practice, you come to understand that we didn't come here to live, have an experience of just ease. That well-being is flowing to us all the time. That's what the universe is well-being and expansion. It's all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, well-being is our natural state of being when we're not in physical, but it doesn't create expansion, because if you are constantly in a state of well-being, then you want for nothing. You want for nothing. If you just have every single thing that you want and there is nothing else, then there's no expansion of consciousness, because you truly do cross a threshold and you want for nothing. But that isn't possible. It isn't possible, because we are expansive beings by nature. The universe is always expanding itself. And that expansion occurs via expressing itself in physical, polarized environments. So here we are operating in polarity, and we're having this high, low, and everything in between journey. And the matrix teaches us that the low is bad. That's when I came to realize that even spirituality can be part of the matrix. Everything can get drawn back into the matrix when you introduce judgment or fear.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I'm back on Facebook a little bit. I'm not on there a whole lot, but I'm back on a little bit. I'm sharing some things out, and I was flipping through my personal page, and I saw someone that we used to work with professionally, and she was really into New Age. Well, now she's denounced New Age, and she's really into Christianity, and everything is Jesus. And I love this practice because I can observe her journey through New Age spirituality back into Christianity and have nothing but appreciation for it, because that is exactly where she should be in her journey. She
Mm-hmm.
is experiencing various operating systems. And I know that sounds geeky and sci-fi and all of that stuff, but if you think about it, we are technology. We are consciousness created beings, and that consciousness is an operating system. It's like our computers have an operating system. Our belief systems are our operating system. And our belief systems create our reality for us to have the experience. And from the source perspective, that experience is not supposed to be perfection. It's not supposed to be, crushing it in business and billions of dollars. and the perfect body and the perfect partner and the perfect health and the perfect everything. And that stuff gets peddled a lot in the Matrix because
Mhm.
it's so seductive. I want to have the perfect life. I
Yeah.
want to not work and have millions of dollars and live in a beautiful home and have the perfect body and the perfect partner and the best experiences and nothing but joy. But I have dabbled in all of that stuff. And I always come back around to the realization that the imperfect journey creates the expansion, and there is joy to be found in the expansion,
Mhm.
not in the stuff or the
Mm-mm.
achievements or the 3D matrix version of what we're supposed to be. And sometimes we achieve those things and we feel good in the moment. But then if we are feeling good in our achievement of those things, we are automatically going to be polarized and feeling bad about the things that we're not achieving that the matrix
Yeah.
tells us we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Which it leads right into our perfect, the topic today. I was going to ask you to speak on this. When you're caught up in this, and I know it was a big one for me, noticing that the same obstacle shows up. It may show up differently,
Oh yeah,
but that constant,
the
that
reoccurring.
unexpected
Yeah,
bill, that unexpected bill, that day where you feel like just everything is going wrong that could go wrong, and maybe the day before you had this beautiful day where everything went perfectly and you were just flying high, and then you wake up the next day and it's like there's a flat tire or scratch on your car, or you run out of gas, or something. So I remember feeling like I was on this hamster wheel, like just running as fast as I could, but not getting anywhere because I would be in that cycle, which now I totally understand is polarity, right? But it's also our default vibe, correct?
yes.
So, yeah, if you would speak more to that, I would love some clarity
Yeah,
or
and
some
before I
light.
do that, I want to say hi to everyone.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
lot of you watching live, so say hello. Hi, Kimmy. Type in the comments, say hello. Wherever you are, we're in multiple locations right now, so you won't see all the comments, but we will see all the comments. So on this
Yes.
platform, everything kind of feeds into one place. So we're on
Oh,
YouTube right now. We're in Patreon right now. We're on Twitter right now. We're in a few different places on Facebook. So say hello.
yeah.
It's good to see all of you out there.
Oh,
So
yes. And reminder, if you're on Patreon, you have to click on the
yeah,
link
comment
to
through
YouTube.
YouTube on
You
Patreon.
have to
Yes.
comment through YouTube on Patreon. Yes. Hi,
So
Sam. Hi,
we
Kimmy.
like sharing these things out on occasion. We do everything in Patreon all the time. So our Patreon page is the Stream of David on Patreon. We're in there several times a week, teaching and sharing and offering all of these things. I have spent the past 4 years channeling the stream via my podcast and sharing their message. And what has happened over those 4 years is the practical side of me, the 3D side of me, actually beyond the 4 years, over about a 14-year period, because I did it for 10 years before I ever went public with it. But over the last 4 years, I've been sharing and we have been co-creating together this mindset practice that allows us to take all of these heady ideas, all of these teachings, and all of this, okay, that kind of makes sense, but it kind of doesn't. And this makes sense to me. And I struggle with that. I understand that because I have lived that experience. I have had knowledge of universal law from birth, I believe, and certainly prior to age 6 is my first recollection of it. And I was still challenged to apply it in my life. And it took me decades to come to the realization that the challenge in applying it differently and allowing more source and moving up and down vibrationally through these experiences, that is the human journey. That's why we came.
Mm.
We're not solving that. No one is solving that for you. I promise you. This is a belief system. And you can assign yourself to a different belief system if you want. There's no dogma in any of this. But you're not going to solve that up and down vibrational journey. And I think that's why so many things become so frustrating, because you have these life situations that you want to change or solve, not enough money or health problems that are lingering, or you're never finding the right relationship, or you're never at peace with your family, or you're always finding yourself in another quote unquote toxic environment, whether it's work or relationships or whatever. and it comes back around again and again and again and again. And then you find a self-help book, or you find a brand of spirituality. It's a big tent out there of spirituality, or you find a religion, or something, or you find Oprah, whatever it is, you
Oh,
find
I love
something that you
Oprah.
believe, okay, oh, of course we all love Oprah, but this is the thing. This is the thing that's going to finally change me. And you get into it and you start reading it and you get excited about it, and the newness of it gives it power, because you're excited about it and the newness of it. You are believing in it. You are saying, gosh, this is going to change my life. You are the one that's giving it power in that moment. And things start to change in your life. Oh my gosh, that's great. I'm down 10 pounds and I just got a promotion at work and I'm dating this great new person and things really seem to be churning for me and everything is just great. Well, what happens in vibrational flow is a little bit of time passes and maybe you start just assuming that all those things are just going to always be there. And you find yourself getting triggered by something. All of a sudden something shows up, some sort of an obstacle shows up in your life, and then you go down your spiral and you get drawn right back into the old vibration, and then all of a sudden all of that stuff that you were enjoying starts to unravel. Have you ever, I'm going to ask this question and answer this in the comments, have you ever found yourself in a place where you thought you had it all working only to see it all unravel and then
I'm
wonder
guilty.
what happened? There was this point where I thought I had it all dialed in and I was crushing life and everything was perfect. I looked like the Instagram version of myself and everything was great. And then all of a sudden it all unraveled. What did I do? What happened? And it's funny that we start out blaming ourselves, because innately we know that everything is our creation, but then that is too painful sometimes. And then we want to start blaming external factors and kind of dialing into the victim vibe. All of that's the matrix. The matrix is a powerful tool of human collective consciousness that is thriving on planet Earth at this time. I say that it's thriving, but it's also a bit challenged and it's a bit threatened. That collective consciousness matrix, the one that runs on fear and judgment, the one that delivered the concept of credit scores and taxes and 50-hour work weeks and 4-year educational programs that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars that you have to borrow money for. I know that's a controversial topic right now. All of that is the matrix. All of it is the matrix. Religion is the matrix. Government is the matrix. The idea of nations is the matrix. Dividing us in races and in genders and sexuality. All of that is the matrix. Now, we talk about the matrix a lot. I am not here to demonize the matrix, because when we start demonizing the matrix, we become part of the matrix, because the matrix is all about fear and judgment. So our teachings are all about learning to be an observer in appreciation, as opposed to that judge. Oh, this shouldn't be. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, that's the wrong way. I do this and everybody should do what I do. That's very prevalent in our world right now.
Yeah. And that vibe, David, when you say that, even you can just, if you sit into your feeling and the vibration of it, it just feels so beautiful. And it's that inner trust of, what a way to live, to observe and appreciate everyone doing what they're doing. As you said, back to, someone that was New Age and then changed and then now is in Christianity. How beautiful is that? That's their experience.
Yeah, she's having her journey, and
exactly.
I appreciate anyone that's on a journey of exploration.
On a journey, right? And having fun doing it, and really just embracing it. That's her belief system, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And whether it's different than mine or not, it's beautiful. And for me to be in the matrix and judge it, that should not be, or fight against it. No, you should be this way. That's that vibration.
Well, that's the matrix in and of itself. And the beauty of the Tya practice is Tya is not judgmental. There's no fear. There are no rules. And it's something, practice it. It works. And when you get a little lazy, and we all do, and you kind of stop practicing it, then you default back. And that default is what we really want to talk about, because that is our topic today, is getting into these recurring or reoccurring unwanted situations in our lives. And anybody that is into psychology knows that very often, in that type of practice, you're going to be taken back to early childhood. Well, that's because our human operating systems are our own creation in our human journey. And our human journey starts, well, prior to birth, really, but certainly we start really consuming our environment after we're out of the womb, after we've been born, and we're starting to absorb the thoughts and ideas and beliefs of others around us. We're starting to discern our own unique independent preferences for food and temperature and light and sound and all of those things really early on. So we start discerning. Somebody just said, so what about
Yeah,
discerning?
I was
We
just
start
going to
discerning
say.
our preferences for what we
Yeah.
prefer in this world and what we do not prefer in this world. And that is a natural state of being, is an independent strand of consciousness coming into physical. So in that discernment of preferences, we are creating beliefs. We're creating a belief system. I believe this is good. I believe that is bad. I believe this thing is for me. I believe that is not for me. This thing scared me. I don't want to see that again. And so we start building this belief structure in our subconscious mind. And then this belief structure becomes our operating system. And then we start manifesting a path very early on that is based on that belief system. And we start manifesting our reality. And people think little children aren't manifesting. Absolutely. We're manifesting everything all the time. Everything is a manifestation. Everything that we are experiencing is our own manifested reality. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start gaining more sovereignty over that. The control sounds a little, kind of lowers the vibe a
Yeah.
little bit. Start saying control, because control means that you have a need and all of that. But simply being the observer of the matrix without being judgmental of the matrix, being the observer of your belief system without being judgmental. I see that so often. People get into this new age thought or law of attraction teachings, and they immediately start beating themselves up for the things that they have manifested that were unwanted, or the things that they keep remanifesting, like poverty or illness or things like that they don't want. Oh my gosh, why can't I break this habit? What's wrong with me? I remember going through a period in my 30s where I said, I understand law of attraction and my attractors are broken. My attractors are broken. I want to attract whatever it is and it's not coming. So there's something wrong with me. Well, no, there's not. You are here having your unique journey in physical that was never supposed to be perfect in the first place, because your obstacles do give you the opportunity to expand as a consciousness being. Meaning, in the coming to understand and accept and even solve your obstacles, you are becoming a more sophisticated version of you. That's why it becomes a more sophisticated version of itself, and that creates expansion for you, and you as part of the collective of all that is, not just humanity, but all that is. That creates expansion for the collective, which is the universe. So you are expanding the universe as a strand of independent consciousness in your expansion of consciousness, and you achieve expansion of consciousness in creating new things. Well, think about how many things that we create in low vibration that we then allow the solving of and the moving through the experience of, that we can then look back and say, gosh, I'm such a wiser version of myself now, having gone through that and understanding that. Think about going through something traumatic in your life, something that not everybody experiences. And you get together with someone else that has had a similar experience, and there's that serendipitous, that commiseration of, yes, that happened to me too. Of course, that can go two different directions. You can say, yes, that happened to me, and this is how I solved it. Oh, that's so inspiring. I'm going to solve it that way too. Or I understand exactly what you're talking about. That feels so good. Well, why does it feel good? It feels good because we created something new. And now we have met someone else that has created something similar. And that is such a high vibration to create consciousness like that. Now you could go the other direction. You can meet somebody that's had the same experience. It was terrible. It was awful. It continues to reoccur. I don't know how to solve it. Why me? Why me? Why me? Why do these awful toxic people keep coming into my life and forcing this? Well, you're not yet claiming responsibility for it or ownership, perhaps, and you're keeping yourself in that reoccurring cycle. There's so much power in claiming ownership of all of your stuff. There is so much power in that, because then you can really start to solve it. You can start to reimagine that, wow, if nothing else, that experience showed me what my vibration was at the time, showed me where I don't want to go again, showed me how my lower vibrational feelings about myself made me a magnet for other people that felt the same way. And now I'm really starting to understand that. And it feels so freaking amazing when I start to understand that, wow, I did create that. And it's okay that I created it. It's okay that I moved through a traumatic experience or a troubling experience, because everyone does. Whether they put it out there for other people to know about or not, I promise you everyone does. They all have their own version of. Some more severe than others, absolutely. But the stream has taught us that those that come and place themselves in the path of what we might consider more severe circumstances or more dire circumstances are actually strands of consciousness seeking that expansive journey. I want to expand as an eternal being. I am eternal. I want to expand as an eternal being. So I'm going to manifest into a physical polarized environment where I know that I will expand in my experiencing of contrast, or however you want to refer to that. People love the word contrast. So I'm going to expand in my contrast. I am going to, instead of being born into upper middle class doting parents with all of my needs met, I'm going to be born into poverty, or I'm going to be born into terminal illness as a child, right away. I'm going to be born into adverse conditions. I'm going to be born into war. I'm going to be born into famine. I'm going to be born into something that's going to challenge me as a strand of consciousness, understanding that the physical journey is always temporary. The journey in physical, as we all know it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And sometimes that doesn't make it out of the womb. And sometimes it's 100 years, more than that even sometimes. So we have this linear physical journey that we come and experience in a energetic realm that is a realm of consciousness that is not experiencing linear time. So we get to come have this linear journey where we become more expanded versions of ourselves as a physical expression. And that can go any way, as we all know. You can be born into all kinds of privilege and still become a drug addict or having eating disorder or whatever it is that causes you to have this sort of disruptive experience. But there is magic in the disruption. There is magic in it. But even though there's magic in it, there's magic in the solving of it, not in the allowing it to be a reoccurring theme for your whole life if it's something that is really bothering you. But getting down to brass tacks with what is the matrix and what is source is as easy as removing fear and judgment from the equation. So you remove fear and judgment. I think Carrie's dogs are barking, so she's on mute over there. You remove fear and judgment, and that is the clarity of source. That's all you have to do. I know it sounds very confusing when people like me start talking about the matrix in 3D and in 5D and all of this stuff. It really is about, gosh, if I take fear and judgment out of this completely, and really take fear and judgment out of it, that's source. Yeah. Source, the consciousness that we call source, that powerful creative energy of all that is, however you want to label it, that is void of fear and judgment. That's why life isn't fair. Because source, i.e. the universe, is delivering on our vibration, not on you are blessed and you are cursed and you're going to have a good life and you're going to have an awful life. And that's just the way it is. There is no energy that I have encountered in my 54 years of channeling that is that. It is non-judgmental. It is love. It is powerful, loving, creative energy of well-being. And it's available to us all the time. The lack of well-being, anything less than that, is the matrix, is the human created matrix of you're too this, you're not enough that, you should be this and not that other thing. All of that comparison, all of that judgment, and all of the fear that swirls around in that vortex, if you want to use that word, that all of that is the matrix. All of it is the matrix. And that is the matrix of creation. That is an ego-driven matrix of creation. Again, we're not judging it though. We're observing it. We're noticing that, wow, the matrix of creation created a lot of expansion for humanity. It gave us technology. It gave us transportation. It gave us an education system. It gave us a banking system. It gave us currency, a system of exchange. And in this world of contrast, there is positive and negative in that matrix. But what's happening now is that humanity is becoming so intelligent, really, I believe, because of our ability to communicate like this. We can all get together, we can, comment and give our 2 cents, and we can listen, and we can agree or disagree. We can turn this off, turn this on, go over to another teacher. We can communicate globally in real time. It's not just the talking heads of actors and actresses and news media talking to us. Think about it. When I was a kid, we had the television and that was it. And you turn on the television and it was Walter Cronkite or Sonny and Cher or something. It's my childhood. Something like that. That was our window to the world, was that.
And a radio, right?
Right. It was very curated. This not so curated. We've got barking dogs and, but we have the ability to dial in smaller numbers with people that we are really connecting with.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this really makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go explore that inwardly, because that's what the Tya practice does. It gives you the tools to take an inward journey.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you the tools to really understand that you are everything that you need for your expansive human journey. And it's about detuning fear and judgment, detuning the matrix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an amazing journey when you take a moment, as you said, to just take a moment to just view it a little bit differently. And for me, one of my beautiful things that I believe Tya taught me, and I know we hear it everywhere, appreciation, gratitude. But I realized that sometimes I would say the words, especially before boot camp, I was one to really stuff my feelings down. So if I had a disagreement with somebody and I still felt like I'm right, I'm wrong, I could be like, oh no, I'm fine. It's good. We're good. I'm fine. But I wasn't fine, because that still was energy, transgressor energy, that I didn't realize needed me to look at, because if I wasn't at that vibration, I wouldn't have been calling in those transgressors, right? But with that, that true gratitude of really looking at the matrix in the past year, working with you, David, and hearing your teachings, of finding the appreciation instead of viewing all the things that are wrong. This shouldn't be, and that's terrible. And then there are so much beauty in all the things that have happened as you said, it's brought us technology. It's brought us the opportunity to talk to people from around the world, to sit and have a meeting like this and I'm on my couch at home and you're in California. We can have a meeting and enjoy discussing in different viewpoints. And then thinking back, like you said, to the childhood of just having a TV or a radio, but you only had what they broadcast. Now we have the ability to choose whatever we want to listen to. We can download the music we want. We can get on YouTube and search for something we want to see. It's not you turn on the TV and you have to watch what was broadcast. And so finding the appreciation in the little things like that, to me, of course, all the technology is just moving faster and faster, and appreciating those pieces versus judging what you feel is wrong. Because it's really easy to be the couch person I was, leaning back and being, oh, that shouldn't be. Somebody should do something.
Yeah, well, we have so much information available to us now, right? I mean, everything that's going on in the world is broadcast all the time. There's just so much more information. And depending on your belief system and your mindset, you can look at that and say, gosh, the world is just in terrible shape.
Yes.
But it's always a contrasting, polarized environment. There has been positive and negative forever, and there will be forever. The concept of we are moving towards some sort of a new earth utopia sounds lovely, and I think it sells books, and people love to think about that. But the stream has said over and over and over again, that is non-physical. In the non-physical state of being, that's the concept of heaven. In the non-physical state of being, you're not polarized, you want for nothing. Polarity expands you, but expands you from the physical environment. Mm-hmm. So the physical environment, that manifestation of physical, and manifesting as a strand of consciousness in physical as an expression of source, that is what creates the expansion that expands the universe. But that is always, always, always accomplished in polarity, because everything that we create because we want more. So if we're living in perfection, we're not wanting any more. So you get out of perfection into the imperfect environment, and suddenly we want to end gun violence. We want to stop school shooting. We want to end cancer. We want to end world hunger. We want to be more peaceful. We want to stop, having the hell scared out of us every time we, log on to social media and see what's, going wrong somewhere in the world. We're expansive beings, and we want to solve those things. And it's good that we want to solve them. This isn't about kick back and don't worry about solving anything. But we have to understand, and this is where we get back to this reoccurring thing, that the solving of anything and everything is outside the matrix in source consciousness, which is nothing but love and appreciation. And we don't use the word love a whole lot because some people think that, you can love something and not appreciate it. If your child goes out and murders someone, you're still going to love your child, but you're not going to appreciate them or what they did in most cases, right? That's a really extreme example, but it's a good example. You can love something or someone and not appreciate them, at least in a moment, in a vibration. So you can appreciate something and not necessarily love it. Well, appreciation is deep understanding. Understanding something so deeply that you no longer judge it. When we gain deeper, notice how judgmental the world can be. And when we take the time to understand someone or something that is foreign to us and really take the time to understand it, that judgment just falls away because you're allowing that source consciousness perspective to prevail. I saw criticism. There's some award show and somebody said something and it was a little crass, and I just flipped on it. They were being very judgmental of it. And I thought, gosh, that's such a nasty vibe to me to want to be in judgment of something like that. Why not seek to appreciate it and just move on with your life? Something so silly, somebody saying something on television or an award show, you're going to take an hour of a news program to pick it apart and complain about it. That's a good use of your airtime, I guess. But, why not appreciate instead? Seek to appreciate. That's the definition of kindness. I don't necessarily understand you. I'm going to seek to understand you better and appreciate you in that journey. That appreciation piece is everything. So that is the solving of anything that's reoccurring in our world or in our lives. Well, the Matrix tells us there's a whole list of things we're not supposed to ever appreciate. And of course, when we start talking about that, people that aren't really deep into these teachings yet or don't want to be, will dance out, well, you can't appreciate X, Y, Z. No, you can't do that. That's still the Matrix. And it's possible to move yourself out of that matrix where you can appreciate all that is, because that is source consciousness. And in the appreciation of anything, the energy is just gone. It just dissipates. It stops being. We do solve things in this world, and we solve it when we get so tired of demonizing something that we decide to take another route and understand it better. And when we understand it better, that appreciation piece comes in, and that appreciation via understanding takes the power away from it. But we are collective. And so collectively, we give power to things, and we give a lot of power to things in the demonization of it. In a polarized world, you can give power through celebration as well. And that's great, because usually we're celebrating things that are a preference that we like, and we're giving it power. Do more of that. But if there's something that we want to solve, and there's always going to be something, because we're in a polarized environment for humanity, for our community, and for ourselves, the solving of it is not found in the judgment of it, the demonization of it, ever, 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 ever. Because when you're judging and you're demonizing, you are disconnected from source. Because source is not that. Source is not that. It is not. And when you are disconnected from source, you are no longer capable of new thought or new creation. Because you are source, by the way. Source is not something in the sky, but you have an ego consciousness that overshadows your source being. This is how I describe it. Other teachers might describe it differently, but you do have an ego that serves to overshadow that source consciousness, so you can have the human journey, But learning to balance that and learning to allow more source and less ego is highly transformative. And one of the key components of the Taya practice is learning, and it is something that has to be learned because you're unlearning the matrix as you learn new things, is learning to meet your obstacles in joy for the clarity that they provide. I know that you've heard this elsewhere if you've been following these types of thoughts. Meet it in joy for the quality that is the clarity that is providing to you, and understand that you're meeting it in joy is a higher vibration. And when you get yourself above what we call neutral, back into that source consciousness, then you're solving things. But the matrix tells if something bad happens to you, you need to stay parked there forever. It's not your fault. You're a victim. This was done to you. It had nothing to do with you. It's terrible that it happened that way. Oh my gosh, how awful for you. How awful for you that you experienced that. And it's soothing in the moment, but ultimately you are sticking that person, at least you're trying to, in that victim vibration, which keeps those situations coming back around again and again and again. The streamers said we have this vibrational basement where we keep all of our crap that we don't want. It's the low vibration stuff, right? It's down in the basement. And that low vibrational flow gives us an opportunity to see what's down there.
Mm-hmm.
So you take your flashlight, you go down, you look around.
Yeah. And I love that you said that earlier about the ego, because oftentimes, in my experience and some of my thirst for teachings and knowledge about spirituality, the ego again was judged as, you need to remove it or stop it. And I have come to know that it's part of the human experience. You're not going to remove it, but you can find appreciation for your ego and the mind chatter that goes on once you become aware of how active that is in a human mind, and that it is just a vibration, and really appreciating that part. And the more I appreciate my ego, the less active it is and the more source flows through me. And finding, as you said, that balance or dance between my human self with that lovely ego that I was given, keeps me safe. And it wants to keep me safe. And it always says, don't go out of the matrix. It's not safe out there. And I'm like, but it is. I want to explore, right? So I love that the appreciation piece is just so key. But not just saying the words, to really, as you said, David, to really move to the deep understanding of anything that you're trying to find appreciation for.
Yeah.
That's that little shift in your vibration. And I'm loving all the comments. I'm so enjoying that. We have a lot of people on and they're very active. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, somebody
we do have a question.
It says Facebook user, if you're not registered in StreamYard, it just shows you that. Can you reprogram your ego like reprogramming your subconscious? Yeah, well, what you're doing is you're reprogramming your belief system, and your belief system is your subconscious, and you don't do that overnight. It's a practice. It takes time. And what we have developed is the Tya practice. TYA stands for Trust Your Abundance. Tya is all about stripping away all of the human created sort of window dressing spirituality, religious teachings, and things like that, and really getting down to the core of what connects us back to source and allows us to trust more and more and more and more, and systematically detuning those elements of ego that drag us out of source connection. So the 4 pillars of the Tya practice that I created over a 10-year period for myself, I've now taught it to people all over the world for 4 years. That practice, and Carrie is our star student.
Oh, okay. We're all star students.
And I love having Carrie. Carrie and I work together, but she is the master manifester. And she is there are a group of people that I work with that have gone through what we used to call our boot camp program that are in mastery now, and I call us the geeks of the Tya practice. We're really geeking out on the Tya practice, and I'm a student of the Tya practice just like everybody else, because this was delivered through me via source, but the practical side of me needed something to take all of those ideas and make it work in my life. Well, what makes it work in your life? Source connection makes it work. More source, more source, more source, definitely. Not source 24/7. We're not going to get there, but allowing more source and less ego absolutely is highly transformative. That creates what we would refer to as an awakening experience. I
Mm-hmm.
understand what people mean by a spiritual awakening. To me, the spiritual awakening is one of these things that just keeps blossoming and blossoming and blossoming because there's no ceiling or threshold that we cross and we're all done. Are you done, Carrie?
No, and that's the beauty to me in in the Tya practice was I was always seeking that from outside of me. That source connection is outside of
Mhm.
me. It's somewhere up there in heaven or
Well, there's a lot of teachings in
wherever.
the Matrix that tell us that, right? It's something
Yeah,
out there that you've got to go seek and bring in.
and yes, and then when I learned to know it's within, and I really dive in, um, yeah, I love the word. I'm geeking out on it because I just can't get enough of exploring it and discussing it. And in our discussions, I always leave with another viewpoint of, oh, I never saw it that way, or I never looked at it that way. And let me explore that a little more. And then finding the tools that work for me. And, as you know, David, you and I have talked often of this. When you first brought to light about the matrix and being out in the wilderness, to me, the word wilderness was very scary. I don't like to go
Yeah,
out
I
in the
remember when I
wilderness.
said that you thought it was
I
something
was
bad.
like, what?
No, I was happy I
Yeah,
was in the wilderness. Very happy I was in the
yeah.
wilderness.
Because I admit, I love my 5-star hotels. I do not enjoy
Yeah, and I do
camping.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
wilderness is a
So
thing.
when you said
Yeah.
that's where my mind went,
And we're not.
wilderness.
Our friend Stacy, who's another Taya
No,
master, and she's
yes,
actually a coach in Taya. She is on a
she
camping
loves
trip
the
right now.
wilderness.
She's on a almost a year long camping trip,
Oh yeah,
literally year long, in camper and sleeping on the ground, and camper and sleeping on the ground,
and
hiking all the way
hiking.
from Southern California to Canada. She loves the actual wilderness. I
Yes,
don't.
I do
Not a
not
wild.
either.
I'm a,
So
I'm a 5-star oceanfront, thousand thread count sheet hotel kind of guy.
yes, me too. Come on. I bring the drinks to the
Yeah, I
pool.
mean, we came to experience humanity, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to experience the
No.
best humanity has to offer. To me, the very best humanity has to offer, whether it's something created on Earth naturally or something man made, that's
Hmm.
all expression of source. A
Yes.
Lamborghini is an expression of source as much as a beautiful mountain range is an expression of source. We can take it that way or
Absolutely.
not. We can say it's evil to have a Lamborghini. You're polluting the planet, and
Oh
you
hell
feed the
no.
world with what you paid for that. That
Bring it
doesn't come
on.
to that judgment, right?
Yeah, but the wilderness now I understand is within me. It's not going out to hike. I don't. You're not asking me to hike the Pacific Trail.
Yeah.
You're
I don't think Carrie
again.
nor I are going to be doing that anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, but
So
the wilderness is a
understanding
place when once you get
it's.
out of the matrix,
Mhm.
it's taken me years to really feel like I'm out of the matrix most of the time, where I've detuned, and the Facebook user earlier was talking about reprogramming your ego. Think about it as you're detuning your ego. You're keeping the best parts of your ego, the part that is agrees with your worthiness to do and have and be whatever you want. That you're an eternal strand of consciousness, that you are source. When your ego is in agreement with that, that feels really good. But the fear, judgment, needing to be right, need to be right. Oh, I need to be right. I need to be right. And that's, moving past, even in my own spiritual practice, the things that I teach. This is a belief system. It's my belief system, and it's a shared belief system that other people enjoy, but it doesn't have to be your belief system. That's why I was talking earlier about the person that um, used to be into New Age spirituality and now is saying that they're into Christianity. I think that that's a fantastic experience for someone. Being an atheist is a fantastic experience. The people that think that we're all kooks for being into this New Age stuff or believing in law of attraction, oh, that's so kooky and so silly, it's not real. Look at all those weirdos over there. I think that that's hilarious. Don't be into it. If you're not into it, don't be into it. Go have another experience. There's no dogma in any of this. This is a belief system that I didn't create a belief system. I created tools to take you back to your own belief system, and you can use them or not. It's completely fine
Yeah.
with me if you choose not to, or if you don't believe any of this. But what I have found is that everything has the power that you give to it. So if you
Mhm.
give this power, it delivers a framework for you to kind of stay on track. And I think that has value for us. A
Mhm.
framework that allows us to sort of stay on track. And you are choosing to dial into a belief system. This particular belief system does not have any rules or judgment or worship, and it never will. And there's
No.
no dogma. There's no saying this is the only way. So if you like that, then this gives you the tools, and the tools are allowing more source, appreciation of all that is as a way of being, understanding polarity and your polarized up and down vibrational journey every day and what that's all about, how to appreciate all of it, and being intentional. What are your intentions? If source isn't judging,
Mhm.
if you are concerned about cancer and you manifest cancer, it's because source is allowing you to manifest cancer. There's an experience that you're going to have. Manifesting being, part of some kind of tragic event, there's an experience that you're going to have. By the way, you're an
Mhm.
eternal being, so from the eternal perspective, it's no big deal. You think it's a big deal because you're in physical having this what you consider limited human journey, but the
Yeah.
human journey is a temporary journey. So start viewing it as a temporary journey of expansion, and start looking at your life as a collection of experiences as opposed to things that you need to be regretful about.
Mhm. Yeah. That's beautiful because truly watching, and again, if you followed these teachings, you probably heard my story of my journey. I was in boot camp and my mother was on her journey of ending her life. And it gave me the tools and the opportunity um, to view it from a different perspective, out of fear, out of judgment. And it opened the door for my mother and I to have the most amazing conversations. And her fears of which I think anyone that's ever experienced being with somebody that's near end stages of their life, regret is a big one. And they often express that. And then the fear of being judged when they go to the other side. At least those were my mother's. And so to really have those conversations with her and give her the opportunity to view it from a Tya's perspective. She had the most beautiful death experience. I felt so honored to share that with her as I was able to open her mind and expand her mind to not have regrets, to know that those were just experiences. That's why she came here. And then to know that there would be no judgment of her experience at all. There would only be appreciation and gratitude. And she passed away so peacefully and so beautifully because of that. And as I said, we had these lovely conversations, and
It's
that really
amazing
spoke to me.
that you had that impact. And I
Mhm.
think you had that impact because you weren't trying to change her. You were just being you.
No,
And
yeah, we were just
she chose to
having
dial in.
conversations.
She chose to dial into that at the end, and it created a whole different
Yes,
experience.
yeah,
So
yeah, because she.
I'm going to show this real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna
Are you
say.
sure it's temporary? The idea of everything is
You
temporary
sure?
because everything is an experience of consciousness, and consciousness is always moving because of vibrational flow. So when I say temporary, that's what I mean. Everything exists forever as your recollection of it, but notice that your recollection evolves over time. Think about something that happened in early childhood that you considered very traumatic, and possibly as you move through life and got a little older, you started reframing it from a more mature perspective and realized, okay, it wasn't that big a deal to me at that age. It was such a big deal. Now that I'm a little older, it doesn't seem like such a big deal at all. And then you meet other people that had a similar experience, and you commiserate a little bit. If you allow new thought to come in on that, you can completely evolve that experience to something that is totally different than maybe you thought it was at one time. So when I say temporary, it's because consciousness is always expanding. And we can stick ourselves in that, and that brings us back to our topic. So thank you, Facebook user, for saying that. You can stick yourself in a reoccurring vibration because you believe it's so true. My mother was abusive. She was a horrible person. She was abusive to me. It was a terrible childhood. I survived it, but I'm a survivor now. I was a victim of my mother. It was the worst thing that ever happened. And you can continue to sing that song throughout an entire lifetime. We had somebody come into our boot camp program over 70 that was still stuck in, age 3, 4, and 5, what was wrong with that period of life, and spent 75 years in that experience. But they moved through the experience and changed the vibration of that experience. And so 75 years later, that experience shifts to something else. That's what we mean by temporary, because everything is always evolving and shifting and changing. Just notice humanity is a reflection of the universe. And notice how we are always evolving and shifting and changing and growing. And sometimes there are negative aspects that flesh out of all of that. But those negative aspects are simply there to present an opportunity for us to go even higher, to be more sophisticated versions of ourselves, to learn even more. And it's very easy to look at media and say the world is very broken right now because of all of the fear and judgment that's out there. But I believe that that's always there. It's just expressing itself in different ways. I do believe, however, that our getting together and exploring things at this level is questioning the matrix, and it's damaging the matrix. We are noticing the damaging of the monarchy, of police forces. I never thought we would see that type of thing when I was a child. I wasn't taught to think that way. Religion, there's stuff every day coming out now about some other religion, and pastors abusing children and all of this stuff. And people are sort of collectively moving away from that a little bit. So in our questioning of the matrix, it's sort of crumbling and fracturing, but it's a powerful vibration, so it wants to stick around. So here's a pandemic. Here's something else to be scared of. There's always something in the matrix that's coming to call for us to say, get back into the matrix. Don't you want to be scared? Don't you want to be back here in fear, in that little cocoon of safety, of knowing that you're in this horrible, awful, fearful world? And there's plenty of people out there that agree with that are ready to talk to you about it. And you get out of the matrix and you find yourself in the wilderness. And Carrie has gone through that journey, and we talk every day almost, because we work together and we're friends and we're both Tya masters. So it's interesting to watch these parallel journeys of people that get deep into this practice and really unravel the matrix and really move themselves out into what is like a wilderness. But it doesn't have to be a scary wilderness. It's just, okay, I'm out of that matrix. So I'm out of the structure of humanity. Now what? And my personal preference is not to spin so far out of it that I'm out on a mountaintop in a robe, meditating the rest of my days away. I would rather, I don't want 100 Rolls Royces like this person commented at 100 Rolls Royces.
Maybe one.
Or 100 Rolls Royces, but a Rolls Royce would be nice. That would be great.
Sure would be nice.
I've manifested a pretty nice life, but there's still material things that I want to experience. But I know that my joy in being is not going to be found in those things.
Mm-mm.
Or losing 50 pounds. I've done that and manifested and remanifested and unmanifested. That doesn't matter to me anymore. Trying to reverse aging or any of that stuff. My matrix is that I have found the love of my life. I live in a beautiful home. I have 2 great dogs. I do what I love doing all day long, every day. And I'm not caught up in a corporate matrix. I've moved myself out of 3D and I'm enjoying it. But there are elements of 3D that come calling sometimes, but I have learned to completely just not worry about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the boogeyman doesn't show up, right?
Nope. And if he does, I just say hello.
The Matrix came for a visit. How nice. Bye.
How nice. Yes, exactly. And I'm just like,
oh.
And I know that's a hard concept for many to understand. And I know even myself, as I said, just when you talked about the matrix versus wilderness, I'm like, okay, I want to be out of the matrix, but I don't want to be in the wilderness because that's scary. But then, as I said, when I realized the wilderness is internal, it's whatever I choose to create it. And it's not scary, and it's hard to, like I said, it's hard to describe that, but it still shows up. Fear still shows up occasionally, but the best part of having the Tya tools to me is that I can recognize it quickly, almost instantaneously it's getting to, but the more I do the practice, the quicker I'm able to recognize, oh, that was judgment, or oh, that was some fear showing up, and then able to explore it a little bit and realize that I was in the matrix if I was judging, or I was in the matrix if I was afraid or comparing. Oh, I should be at this place.
That comparison thing, when you detune comparison, that is so freeing. Oh my gosh,
it
detune
is.
comparison of yourself against what the matrix tells you you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is so freeing.
Oh, yeah.
I can't describe. It's indescribable how amazing that is to stop that comparison of where the matrix tells you you should be experiencing and what you're just authentically experiencing is fantastic.
Yeah. And the age is a big one for me. Oh,
well, yeah, the matrix tells you know, what does the
age
matrix teach? And again, we're not demonizing, we're observing. So my observation of the matrix is it tells us that the two things that we know are inevitable are bad: aging and dying. What's worse in the matrix than death? You know, that was used as a fear card in the pandemic for sure. People are going to die. People are dying. Oh my gosh! And I remember the stream coming through saying, "Yeah, people are dying every day."
Mm-hmm.
You can acknowledge and you can take action with the pandemic however you want, and you know, masks, vaccine, all that is fine. But going into that fear vibration of, oh my gosh, I have to do this, or that is the matrix, and you can have a matrix experience, or you can simply choose not to.
Yeah.
On anything, and then you can make your choices from there. Discerning a preference without fear and judgment is, again, another magical way. These are magical tidbits of how to live life by Carrie.
Yes. Yes, you get to choose. That's the cool part.
Yeah, Carrie lives her life like that. She lives on an island in Belize on the ocean, and in freedom and joy and ease. And you know, it's great, right?
It is.
This life that we create for ourselves in this practice is pretty amazing. So you can join us on Patreon. You can check out the website, thestreamofdavid.com. There's a Tya page on there that tells you about the practice if you don't know about it. We have a podcast, the Stream of David podcast, that's been out for 4 years. And we have a new podcast we'll be launching for the Tya practice really soon. So the stream is Source Consciousness channel through me. And Tya is the practical application of those teachings, just to kind of clarify what all that is. So whoever this Facebook user is, Rolls Royce convertible, they're saying Rolls Royce convertible, white with a beige top. That 80s, 70s, 80s era Rolls convertible, to me, is the most beautiful car ever created. And I live in Southern California, and you do see them on the road. And there's a cream one in town with a beige top. I know I've seen white and beige, and it's beautiful. I love that car. I don't know if you're talking about that era or not, but I love that car. And I would, you know, I don't know if I really care to drive one of those around. I think they're just a beautiful work of art. I really do. But anyway, this isn't car talk. This is Tya Talk. Overtime.
Maybe we should do car talk.
Doing this live. Carrie, it's always fun to have you on. And I know you have dogs barking and hammering and stuff in the background, but you still, your light shine through nonetheless. I'm sure, for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on, and thank you all. We're on Patreon every Wednesday with Tya Talk, and we put that in all the tiers, the public and all the tiers of Patreon. So you can just jump over there and catch this anytime on Wednesdays. And we like to pop into Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and other places, just because my intention is to share the Tya practice with the world, however that looks for the rest of my life, because I see what it does for people. So thank you all so much for watching.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.